Hey guys, and welcome back to the FLEA Circus. Our story today is called Into the Great Unknown. One of my favorite Bible verses is Hebrews 11:1, where it says, "Now faith is confidence in what we hope for, and assurance about what we do not see." That is still one of the best definitions of faith I have ever heard. Particularly that second part, assurance about what we do not see. In the world in which we live, faith is often hard to place. Political promises that are made are soon broken and forgotten. It seems to be more and more difficult for companies to stand behind their product. It is so difficult to know what to believe and what not to believe as we continue to hear new information about the COVID-19 pandemic and how best to keep it away. We've also had all the social unrest playing out all around us. One of the most consistent things being talked about is how the police can no longer be trusted, and on it goes. That got me thinking about some of the Bible stories we often share, particularly the ones where people had to exercise great faith, often because what was laid out in front of them was a complete unknown. Hebrews 11, sometimes called the Faith Hall of Fame, brings to mind some great examples of people who operated with assurance, even in instances where they had no idea what the future held. There are two stories in particular that have always impacted me. Hebrews 11:7 says, "By faith Noah, when warned about things not yet seen, in holy fear built an ark to save his family." Did you ever think about Noah? One day God comes to him to tell him to build an ark. You want me to build a what? Nobody's ever seen, never even heard of a thing called an ark. And then God says he is going to destroy the world with a flood. Okay, what's a flood? This poor guy had likely never even seen rain before. So what's a flood supposed to look like? And yet, an ark got built, and the rest is history. Then you got Abraham. Hebrews 11:8, "By faith Abraham, when called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went, even though he did not know where he was going." Can you imagine that conversation? Abraham comes into the tent he shares with his wife. "Sarah, dear, I need you to pack all our things, everything we got." Why? "'Cause we're moving." When? Now. Where? I don't know. I don't know. Then why are we moving? How can we move when you don't even know where we're moving to? "'Cause God said so." God. God who? And yet Abraham hit the road to go to a place that only God knew. And the rest is history. And in the New Testament, you have the disciples. These were just regular guys just sitting around, minding their own individual business, working in their jobs, when seemingly out of the blue, this wandering, itinerant rabbi comes up to them, and with a force that they can't initially explain or even understand, says, "Follow me." And he says it in such a way that they feel that they have to follow him, that they will be missing something incredible if they don't follow him. Can you imagine all the questions they must have been asking themselves as they fell in behind him? Talk about a complete unknown. And yet follow him they did. And the rest is history. Now, all three of these displays of the assurance of things not seen have one thing in common. All these characters placed their faith in God. It didn't make the path ahead any more known. It simply means that they found assurance in what they could know: the unchangeable love, grace, mercy, and presence of God. Whether that was the God that Noah and Abraham came to know, or the God that walked among the disciples in the person of Jesus Christ, assurance was found in who they all placed their trust in: Why is this important? Well, I suspect we all are experiencing a whole lot of unknowns in these times in which we live. Certainly, there is a virus that seems to keep confounding us, impacting the economy, impacting our ability to even have simple face-to-face fellowship with each other, and keeping us in the dark about whether or not normal, whatever that is ever going to return. How are jobs going to look? How are vacations going to look? How are family reunions going to look? How is school going to look? How is sports going to look? The list goes on and on. But what the Bible teaches is a simple yet remarkable truth. It's not on us to be able to figure things out, which is good because some things we may never figure out. Instead, we should place our lives, every aspect of our lives, into the assurance we can know, God. And the Bible, both Old and New Testament, give us such wonderful words to remind us that we can live assured that God is with us, taking care of us, providing for us, and always loving us. From the Old Testament, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Those were the words that Moses gave as he was completing his time with the nation of Israel. And they're found in Deuteronomy 31. And then these words from Paul in Romans 8 in the New Testament. If God is for us, who can be against us? He who did not spare his own son, but gave him up for us all, how will he not also, along with him, graciously give us all things? And the only reason those verses work is because of the eternal changing character of God. From the Old Testament, God speaking in Malachi 3, I, the Lord, do not change. And from the New Testament, Hebrews 13, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. The only reason we can claim assurance is because of the God who provides it. He is eternal trustworthy in all he says and does, and eternally loving and gracious in all he plans and provides for us. So it's not simply about having faith. It's all about who we are invited to have faith in. So, don't have anxiety. Instead, have assurance. God said we could, and it's as available as God himself. You guys all have a great week. I love y'all. God bless.